The Wilderness, home of some of RuneScape's biggest, most controversial, and most influential updates in the history of the game. Added in August of 2001 following the removal of worldwide PvP combat. This area was designed to be the place to engage in player versus player combat. The way this worked, and the area itself has changed drastically over the years. To see these changes, let's go back to where it all began. 2001. The era now known as RuneScape Classic. This was a locked, round-based combat that could not be cancelled until 3 rounds had been completed. This was back when RuneScape was in a 2D style. 2004. The update to RuneScape 2 and 3D graphics. This brought a large change to the combat system, moving to rely on the tick-based system we still use today, and the combat was not turn-based as it was in Classic. This was where PvP really started to thrive and gain traction. 2005 to 2006 saw additions like the Team Capes, which showed you as a blue dot on the minimap if you had the same color cape as another player. It also moved the left-click attack to right-click only. We also received other changes like the Wilderness Obelisks, which allowed you to randomly be teleported to another obelisk in the wilderness. Early 2007. This was considered for many the peak of the game, especially for PvP. The game saw many updates, including graphical, interface, Wilderness Ditch, new meta PvP gear, God Wars, the Grand Exchange, all which changed PvP forever. Late 2007, we saw the removal of regular PvP in the Wilderness and free trade. One of the most controversial updates in the history of RuneScape. The game saw huge riots to revert these changes. PvP was changed with Bounty Hunter to a more minigame focused version of PvP. In 2008, Jagex reinstated the age-old PvP anywhere, but only on specific worlds. Wandering Revenants were added in every world to replace player killers on regular worlds. In 2009, Bounty Hunter worlds were released where you once again were able to kill people in the wilderness, albeit not the same fashion pre-PvP removal. In 2011, PvP worlds and Wandering Revenants were removed and sent to the Ferentary dungeon, and the wilderness PvP and free trade returned. This area of time was known as RuneScape's second peak. The game received many graphical improvements, and tons of great new gear and content have been added to the game to spice up PvP. Late 2012, the addition of the Evolution of Combat, another one of RuneScape's most controversial updates. This update changed the combat of RuneScape forever to an ability and adrenaline-based system, adding much more complexity to combat. The player base, heavily split on whether this was good, left the game. In 2013, Jagex had learned their mistake and introduced old school RuneScape to bring back the most popular era of RuneScape, 2007. So players could relive the game as they once knew it and PvT to their heart's content. Legacy mode was also added to RuneScape 3 in 2014, allowing players to skip the abilities and use the age-old combat system they once knew. 2015 saw the addition of Darkscape, similar to old school RuneScape's Deadman mode, where PvP was enabled everywhere except within safe areas, and EXP rates were increased by 50% for members. Legacy combat was forced in this mode. The game was short-lived, however, and was only open for 6 months, unfortunately, before closing. The EXP gain in this mode was able to be received at a 50% rate to players' main game accounts. 2016, Wilderness Slayer contracts were added, Bounty Hunter was reinstated, Cursed Energy Rift was added, and Rogue Pickpocketing was added. In 2019, Bounty Hunter was removed and normal PvP was reintroduced. In 2022, the option to disable PvP was added, allowing players to opt in and out of PvP combat, and the Wilderness Flash events were added alongside the threat system, which was designed to leave in the danger of the wilderness, even for players using the disabled PvP option. It spawned mobs of scaled level monsters to drop in and just give you hell, and the Wilderness Volcano would erupt at you, dealing damage. This was honestly more threatening than PKers had been in a long time. They also added Wilderness Slayer chests to entice players to participate in Wilderness Slayer. In 2023 and beyond, the threat system was removed and the new Fort Forinthry and Wilderness Crypt were added, adding a new series of quests over the following years in addition to new Slayer content, skilling methods, and making the area an important game hub. Wilderness Flash events also saw the addition of King Black Dragon and Wildy Worm events, and the game saw changes to monster balancing, affecting combat within the wilderness. RuneScape's wilderness has undergone a lot of changes in the last 23 plus years. While PvP is no longer popular in RuneScape 3, it does have a lot of enjoyable content within the wilderness. Old school RuneScape, however, has a stable player versus player community to date. I personally would like to see Darkscape return to RuneScape 3 with the option to either use Legacy or EOC combat, depending on the world you use. I think it could be a positive way to rekindle PvP and even give something for its players lost to old school or other games to come back and enjoy. Do you think PvP could return to RuneScape 3? Will it last in old school RuneScape? And would you like to see Darkscape return? Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.